Hello all, welcome to video 23 of Genia using LangChain and Databricks playlist. So from this video, we are trying to make the video shorter, right? I'll be explaining you everything, the code and everything, right? We will just save the time in live coding, right? So that you also will not need to invest a lot of time in watching the videos, right? And I think once we understand the concept, once we know all the features, we can I think it is very easy for us to use that particular feature, right? So in this video we are going to understand the structured output in LangChain using Pydantic. The previous video we saw the structured output in LangChain using TypeDict, right? We have seen the advantage and disadvantage, everything about TypeDict. We in this video we will be learning about Pydantic, right? Now what is Pydantic? Basically I have written here the definition, right? It is the data validation and data parsing library for Python. It is very important to understand is data validation, right? It does data validation and data parsing, right? And it ensures that the data we work is correct, structured and type safe, right? So it does this validation, it does the data type validation also, right? And Pydantic library is used for data validation, data parsing, type enforcement, right? And serialization, deserialization, right? It is almost heavily used in frameworks like Fast API, LangChain, and many AML pipelines, right? And we will need to include this Pydantic into our installation. So if I show you the installations folder that we have this Pydantic, right? This I have already installed, right? Okay. Now what I'll do as first step, I'll run the installations, right? Percent run installations, right? This might take some time. Okay, but the most important use of Pydantic is if we want to do the data validation, if we want to enforce data types, we go and we use Pydantic based on the requirement, right? Let these validations, let these installations run. We will try to understand the basic code of Pydantic, right? How we do the basic coding using Pydantic. What we have to do, we have to import base model from Pydantic. Okay, we create a class. This is the class name, let's say, that I have used, okay, which is the object of base model. I have defined name as string, age as integer. A small example I have taken, right? Then what I have done, I have invoked this class, okay. I have passed name as Ganesh and age as 28, okay, and I'm going to print the this object of this class, right? I'm going to print what all items of this object, right? And the type, okay. So let me run this. I think installations are running. This might take some time, that is okay, but this is how basic Pydantic code is written, right? First import, okay, then create a class which is an object of base model. Define whatever items you have in your class. For example, name is string, age is integer, right? Create the object of the defined class and pass on the parameters that you want to pass, right? Name I want to pass this, age I want to pass this, okay. And I'm going to print the user, right? User one, okay. Let me see, installations are happening, okay, fine. Let it complete, okay. Okay, I think it has what it has done, it has restarted the kernel, okay, and then it is running the remaining installations, okay. And what I have said is, in installations you have to include this pip install Pydantic. And what is this Pydantic email, I'll tell you as and when we proceed in this video, right? Fine, see, this has run. Name, it has given output as Ganesh, age as 28, right? Now we are seeing we understood, right, from the very first these write-ups, that Pydantic does data type validation, okay. Let's do one thing. Let me pass age as 30, right? I have specified age as integer, right? If it is doing validation, it should throw an error right over here. Let's run this and see. It has given the validation error. The one validation for user. Input should be a valid integer, right? But we have passed on 30, right? So this is how Pydantic is doing the validation, data type validation. Okay. Now what I'll do, I'll specify the age as a number. Okay. And in quotes, and Pydantic will auto convert. Pydantic will pass, right? See, age it has given as integer, and the type of age is integer, right? So it has passed it. Now next thing, we can set the default values in Pydantic. Okay. For example, here what I have done, I have specified name as string and equals to Ganesh. So Ganesh is the default value I have specified. And while calling the object of this class, okay, I'm not specifying the parameter name. Okay. I'm not passing any argument here. Okay. So it should automatically take the name as Ganesh, and it has taken, right? So this is how we pass the default values in Pydantic, right? Now, yes, we can fetch individual attributes and their types using Pydantic. I think we have seen this already above, right? But I'll just explain you. See, type we have already seen. Now, if I want to extract the name from this one, extract the age from this one, I can do it, right? I can extract the individual attributes and their types also, right? Next thing, we can set particular field as optional in Pydantic, right? How we do that? For example, first name I have specified as string, default value is Ganesh. Last name I have specified as optional, it should be string, right? And if nothing is specified, it should be none. And age is integer, right? Now, while calling the object of this class, I have just passed on the argument age equals to 28, right? So I'm expecting output should be the first name should come as Ganesh, last name should come, the age should be 28, and last name should be none, because it is optional. It should not throw an error, right? And you can see last name it has given as none, right? So there is a provision that we can make some field as optional, and for optional we have to import from typing, we import optional, right? Fine. Now we can pass the value for optional field. Now last name, right? I have set it up as optional. Now if I pass the argument of last name, it should take whatever I am specifying, right? Whatever I am passing. Okay. See, last name it has taken as Ganesh. Above, I have not passed anything. It has taken as none, which is the default I set, right? So there is provision of passing value, right? Now, next thing is, if there is any email in the field, right, we can validate that using email str, right? So email str is basically a special string type provided by Pydantic, right? It is through the email validator library, which automatically validates whether a given string is, the string we are giving is properly formatted as email address. Okay. And basically how it works, when we use email str as a field type in Pydantic, it validates the format of the email, right? And it raises the validation error if email is invalid, right? Okay. Now we need to install Pydantic email, which I have already installed here, right? This you have to add to your installation notebook, right? Fine. So what I have done here, this optional and this stuff is fine. We have just gone one step ahead. Email ID, I have specified, I have made it optional, right? That is fine. The type is email str, right? Here it is string, here it is string, now here it is email str, right? And what I'm doing, I'm passing email ID as ganesh.kudare@learning.com, right? So this is valid email. Okay, it has given me the output. Now what I'll do, I'll just remove at the rate. Okay, let me remove at the rate. Okay, kind of an invalid email I'm putting. Okay, and let's see if it is giving the validation error, right? It has given the validation error. Value is not a valid email address, right? This value, this input value is not a valid email address, right? So email validation also you can do using Pydantic, right? Now there is next thing available in Pydantic. We can use field function also here, right? Using field function, we can set up default values, we can apply constraints, we can add description for the field, and we can apply regex also. Okay, so we will see how to apply constraints, right? We will I have taken it something like marks over here. Okay, and what I have done, these imports are as it is. Okay, from Pydantic, import base model, email str, field, right? This I have to import from Pydantic. From typing, I have to import optional. Okay, I'm defining a class, first name as user, default value is Ganesh, last name as optional, default value is none, email ID as email string, right? Default value should be none, as an integer. Marks I have kept it as float, right? And what I have done, I have defined a field, right? Field is, it should be greater than 0, mark should be greater than 0 and less than 100. Okay, and if nothing is passed, right, if I don't pass any argument here, it should give default as none, right? So I'm saying I don't need to pass this optional over here. If I specify default, then it becomes optional, right, through this field functional, right? If you can see the output, yes, it has given me the marks as 99.99, right? If I specify marks, which is not in the range, for example, here I have specified marks, here I have passed the marks argument as 100.1, it should give me the validation error. See, it has given me the validation error. The value should be less than or equal to 100, right? Input value is 100.1, right? So these validations also we can apply using field function, right? And we can add field description also. Okay, these descriptions do same work that the annotation is doing in type dict, right? So, and these descriptions are very important when we are working with LLMs, right? LLMs get reference what this field is about, right? So here what I have done, first name string field, I've set up default value as Ganesh, right? Default value, this is how we set up when we use field function, right? Description, first name of the student, last name, it's optional string, find field, right? Default value is none, description, okay, this way, right? So this is how we specify description for particular field um, in Pydantic, right? And if you see, based on like this description importance, you will understand when we start working with LLMs, right? This Pydantic, there is one more feature. This Pydantic object you can convert to dictionary as well. What I have done is I have just wrapped it in a dict, right? And if I run this, it should give me a dictionary. One more feature available, I can convert this to JSON also, right? This object of this class, I have just used the function dot model dump JSON, and it is very important when we are parsing the schema and passing to some downstream application, okay, using LLM, right? Fine. Now what we will do is we will use this Pydantic with LLM with structured output function, right? See, what I have done is I have just imported Databricks from Databricks LangChain. I have imported chat Databricks from Pydantic. I have base model email str field. From typing, I have optional and literal. Using literal, I can fix the values. I'll explain you how we can fix the values, right? Chat model I have specified. This is the review. I have added review, some AC review to process, right? Now see here, the class I have created AC review summary base model, right? It is the it is inheriting base model, right? Now topics discussed, I want it to be a list, okay, and each item in the list should be string. Field description is a list of top 5 topics discussed in the review, which is going to act as a prompt for me. This is going to act as a prompt, right? AC review summary, what description I am giving? A single line crisp summary of the review. AC review sentiment, now literal I am specifying the sentiment value should either be positive or negative, right? and I'm giving the description, the overall sentiment of the review, positive or negative. If you cannot decide, choose none, just to not hallucinate, right? Pros optional, right? Again, list and every object in the list should be string. Default value is none. Description, a list of pros, right, mentioned in the review. Then a list of cons mentioned in the review, and the reviewer name. If name of the reviewer is there, put it. Otherwise, give me a none, right? Structured review summary. I'm using chat model, and I'm invoking that using with structured output. I'm passing the class I have defined. Okay. And I'm invoking that using a review to process. Okay. Now here I'm not specifying any prompt, right? So my description is acting as a prompt, right? That's the importance of description. Okay. Let me run this, and it will take some time. It might take some time because it has to send this review to LLM, right? And LLM will give us all these outputs. Okay. Then it has to structure all these outputs. Okay. And then it will give us the results. Okay. So this is how in life, in project or in production, we make use of Pydantic. Okay. Let's see the output. Topics discussed. It has given the 5 topics, right? I have specified description that way. SC review summary. It has given me the crisp summary, right? SC review sentiment, positive. Pros, it has given me the pros. Cons, it has not found any cons in the review, and the reviewer name also it has not found, right? So this is the way we use Pydantic in project or in live when we work live, right? Now, let's quickly understand few advantages and disadvantages of Pydantic. The first thing is strong validation. It does the type validation. It does automatic type conversion. Automatic type conversion means the example we have seen, age to 8. If I specify in string, it converts to integer. If possible, right? If I specify age as, let's say, THIRTY, it cannot convert, right? Better prompting via field descriptions we have seen. We can My field description is acting as a prompt, right? JSON schema generation, right? We have seen how to generate the JSON out of Python Pydantic output, right? And it is slight performance overhead because it has to do data types and all these validations, right? So slight performance overhead is there, but if your production has a requirement, you have to use Pydantic. If you have to validate data types, if you have to validate the schema at the start and then send to downstream, you should use Pydantic, right? Now here, when to use Pydantic? When you are building production systems, when data correctness is critical, output is complex and nested, right? We need a validation plus data type safety, right? And when we are working with database pipelines or APIs, in these cases, we should use Pydantic. When we to avoid Pydantic, when we need very simple output, we can avoid. When we are looking for a high speed and low latency system, here Pydantic might take some time to give you the output, right? So in such a cases, and if you don't have any requirement of data type validations and parsing, you can avoid Pydantic. Okay. Quick prototyping, you don't need to use Pydantic. That's fine, right? And your like output, you don't want a structured or strict output, right? You are okay with, if in age it is coming as THIRTY, you are okay. In these cases, you can use Pydantic, right? Fine. So these are all the advantages, right? We have seen you in Pydantic, what all features available, right? All this code I have shown you, right? While watching the video, you can pause and you can code it if you want, but it is very important to understand what all things conceptually we can do using Pydantic and start using in your projects, right? Fine, that's all. I'm just keeping the videos little short, right? I'm not putting the video size more, right? Because the codes and syntax nowadays we can get using, code assistants. That is fine, but very important to understand basically how we need to code. That's why I have shown you the codes also and all the details about Pydantic, right? Fine, that's all for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much.